Attention Formula One fans. What's happening with Lewis Hamilton at Ferrari is unprecedented. The 7-time world champion has hit rock bottom and made an extreme decision that could change everything. Is his legacy at stake? Today I'll tell you everything unfiltered. Let's go. Lewis Hamilton arrived at Ferrari surrounded by a cloud of expectations. His signing was one of the most highly publicized in recent Formula One history. Everyone was talking about a new golden chapter for the 7-time world champion. The headlines presented him as the driver who would bring glory back to Maranello. But the reality on the track has been completely different. In just 5 races with his new team, Hamilton hasn't managed to get on the podium even once. His best result has been 5th place, far from what was expected of a driver of his caliber. His only victory was in a sprint race in China, an achievement that is now perceived more as an exception than a sign of recovery. The contrast between what was promised and what is actually happening could not be more striking. What was supposed to be a triumphant start has turned into a series of frustrations, mediocre results, and constant doubts about his adaptation to the SF25 single-seater. The pressure mounts, the results aren't coming, and Ferrari's patience is beginning to wear thin. The Saudi Arabian Grand Prix marked a turning point in Lewis Hamilton's season opener with Ferrari. It was there that the gap between him and his teammate Charles Leclerc became alarmingly evident. In qualifying, Hamilton was 0.6 slower than Leclerc, a gap that in Formula One represents an abyss, especially when both drivers are driving the same car. In the race, the situation didn't improve. Hamilton finished 7th, while Leclerc took the podium with a solid 3rd place. The gap between them at the finish line was 30.969 seconds. That figure alone was enough to set off alarm bells in Maranello. In a category where differences are measured in thousandths of a second, being more than half a minute behind your teammate is a critical sign that something isn't working. The gap between the two not only reflects a performance issue, but also calls into question Hamilton's adaptation to the SF25 car. While Leclerc is managing to extract the best from the car, Hamilton seems to be struggling with every lap, unable to find the rhythm necessary to compete at the highest level. Internal comparisons are inevitable, and so far, they aren't favoring the team's new star signing. After the race in Jeddah, Hamilton didn't wait for the situation to worsen. He made a decisive decision: cancel all his personal commitments and dedicate a full week to working with Ferrari. It was a direct reaction to his previous poor performance and a gesture that speaks to his level of commitment to the team and to the goal of turning his season around. In statements to the media, the British driver was clear and firm. He said he wouldn't have a week off after the Grand Prix, that week would be exclusively for work. He added that he would have to cancel some plans, something unusual in his personal schedule, known for being packed with off-track activities and commitments. Hamilton's move isn't just an emotional reaction. It's a calculated strategy to make up for lost ground as quickly as possible. His goal is clear: to understand why the car isn't responding as expected and work with Ferrari engineers to find concrete solutions. The situation is critical and he knows it. That's why he's willing to do whatever it takes to change the current situation. The problems Lewis Hamilton is facing with the SF25 aren't limited to a matter of personal adaptation. There are a number of specific technical difficulties that are compromising his performance. Since the start of the season, Hamilton has spoken openly about the car's lack of balance and a persistent feeling of sliding, especially in fast corners. This type of behavior prevents the driver from attacking with confidence and extracting the car's maximum performance. Most worryingly, even after several weekends of racing, Hamilton still isn't clear on what exactly is wrong. In his own words, there isn't a single moment during the races when he's felt comfortable behind the wheel. And when asked why his teammate was able to squeeze more performance out of the car, his answer was simple and baffling: he doesn't know. This lack of technical clarity greatly complicates any attempt at a solution. Without a precise diagnosis, the work in the simulator and on the track becomes less effective. Furthermore, there is an additional factor that could be making the situation worse. Hamilton prefers a lower, stiffer car, a setup that has been shown to cause problems with the Ferrari's aerodynamic sensitivity, especially in terms of ground clearance. When the car drops too low, floorboard wear becomes a serious risk, limiting the room for maneuver to find an ideal setup. This incompatibility between Hamilton's driving style and the current characteristics of the SF25 appears to be at the heart of his difficulties. Resolving it will not be easy, and therefore each work session at Maranello is critical to trying to find a solution before the season slips away. Lewis Hamilton has consistently described the lack of balance in the SF25 as one of his biggest challenges. According to his own statements, the car constantly slides, preventing him from feeling in control. This instability not only affects his confidence on the track, but also limits his ability to extract maximum performance, especially in qualifying conditions where every detail counts. Most disconcerting is Hamilton's inability to identify the exact cause of the problem. When asked why his teammate Charles Leclerc is able to get more out of the car, his response was clear: he doesn't know. This lack of concrete answers highlights the technical complexity of the situation. It's not simply a matter of adaptation, but a deeper incompatibility between driver and car. One of the theories that has gained the most traction among analysts and technicians is that Hamilton's driving style, characterized by a preference for lower, stiffer cars, is clashing with the SF25 structural limitations. When the Ferrari is adjusted for that height, the car's sensitivity to the ground becomes critical. Excessive wear on the floorboards and the risk of penalties force him to compromise key setups, directly affecting his competitiveness. All of this has led to a disturbing conclusion. In Hamilton's own words, there is no short-term solution. The car isn't responding and solutions seem far away. The phrase that resonated most after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix was clear: this is how it's going to be for the rest of the year. It's going to be painful. With that perspective, the only alternative left for him is to work tirelessly to try to reverse, even partially, a situation that threatens to become one of the most difficult of his career. Ferrari introduced its first major updates of the season at the Bahrain Grand Prix. Among the most notable changes was a new floor design for the SF25, accompanied by modifications to the rear brake duct and a minor aerodynamic tweak to the rear of the car. Expectations were high. Hamilton had optimistically stated that these improvements could be the key to solving the problems he had been struggling with since the start of the season. Hamilton's enthusiasm was evident in his pre-weekend statements. He acknowledged the team's efforts and was confident that the new parts would lead to a noticeable improvement in the car's handling. However, what happened on the track didn't live up to those hopes. The car's performance didn't show a qualitative leap, and the same stability and confidence issues continued. Meanwhile, Charles Leclerc adopted a more cautious stance. From the outset, he made it clear that he didn't expect a radical change in the short term, but rather small improvements that would help reduce the gap with the leading teams. This difference in expectations between the two drivers also reflected the disparity in their feelings behind the wheel of the same car. The fact that the updates haven't had the expected impact represents a significant blow for Hamilton. In addition to delaying the possibility of achieving better results, it highlights that the current problems can't be solved with new parts alone. The root of the issue seems to be more related to the car's philosophy than specific elements. Therefore, the work Hamilton plans to do during his week in Maranello will be key. He needs to understand not only how the updates respond, but also how to adapt the car to his style before the season drags on for good. Hamilton's decision to dedicate a full week to working with Ferrari did not go unnoticed in the paddock. It was interpreted by many as a clear sign of his level of commitment, even amid a clearly disappointing start to the season. This week of intensive work could be crucial, not only for his personal adaptation, but also in helping the team find collective solutions that benefit the development of the SF25. An important aspect of this initiative is that it will coincide with Charles Leclerc's presence at the Maranello factory. Both drivers will be there at the same time, representing a unique opportunity for engineers to directly compare their driving styles, setup preferences, and feedback on the car. This synchronization is unusual on the Formula One calendar and could allow for a more efficient technical approach, with shared data and a clearer view of internal differences. Beyond the technical value, this moment also has symbolic weight. Hamilton is putting aside his personal life to focus exclusively on performance. The phrase used by some media outlets to describe the situation was powerful. While other drivers are taking flights home, Hamilton is canceling his life. That total dedication can make all the difference when it comes to overcoming a sporting crisis. However, the true value of this week will not be measured by the number of hours worked, but by the quality of the solutions found. Ferrari needs to translate its drivers' efforts into concrete progress, and Hamilton needs to start seeing results if he wants to prevent this time with the Italian team from becoming a prolonged disappointment. Lewis Hamilton's next challenge will be the Miami Grand Prix, and it will be there that he will be able to clearly measure whether the intense week of work with Ferrari has had any positive effect. Miami represents a track with different characteristics than Jeddah, which could give Hamilton a better opportunity to show progress, as long as the car is in condition to meet his demands. Expectations are divided. Some analysts believe the change of circuit could benefit Hamilton, especially if Ferrari has a better understanding of how to adapt the SF25 to his driving style. Others, however, remain skeptical, pointing out that if a structural solution to the car's problems isn't found, little will change with a simple change of venue. At the same time, rumors are beginning to circulate that point to a possible reorientation of priorities within Ferrari. Given the current technical difficulties, some argue that the team could shift its focus on developing the car to the 2026 season. If this is the case, the 2025 season could be put on the back burner, directly impacting Hamilton's immediate efforts to improve. This poses a complex dilemma. If Ferrari chooses to prioritize the long term, Hamilton will face the rest of the championship with a car that is difficult to adapt to his needs. Therefore, the work he manages to do now, before development decisions are fully finalized, will be key to determining whether he can still aspire to be competitive this year. Lewis Hamilton's decision to cancel his personal commitments to fully dedicate himself to work at Maranello marks a turning point in his time with Ferrari. It's not simply an adjustment in his schedule. It's a statement of intent, a reflection of the urgency with which he faces this moment and his determination to change the course of a season that, so far, has fallen far short of expectations. The SF25's technical problems are no small feat. The lack of balance, the difficulty in finding a suitable setup, and the loss of confidence in the car have tested not only the driver's talent but also the entire team's ability to adapt. The gap with Leclerc, visible both in qualifying and the race, has intensified the pressure and fueled uncertainty about the immediate future of this alliance. Despite the adverse outlook, there are reasons not to rule out Hamilton. His track record is filled with moments in which he has overcome difficult circumstances. His experience, analytical skills, and willingness to work are factors that could make the difference, especially if Ferrari can provide him with the necessary tools to compete at the level the sport demands. The upcoming race in Miami will be the first test to assess whether the efforts made this week have borne fruit. But beyond a specific result, what's at stake is the viability of the Hamilton-Ferrari project. The coming weeks could determine whether this historic partnership has a real future in the fight for victory, or whether it will remain an opportunity that never materialized.